And hello, ladies. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello,
I
hi.
am excited as usual to be here with you. And I needed this moment. We are in June. May
Wow, I
was a
can't
May
believe it.
of May. May was a May of mayhaps.
Okay.
The activities just kept coming one after the other. So I was looking forward to this afternoon where I could just relax and just chat with my ladies. So, welcome to Chit Chat with the Journey Sisters. Welcome, Janelle. Welcome, Miss Bridget. I'm going to avoid calling your last name because I don't want to mess it up, okay? So, I'm
That's
just
all
going to call
right.
you Miss Bridget for now. Welcome to our audience. Before we even get started, I want to just say thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your calls. And as we come on here every month, we don't know exactly who we're speaking to, but our hope and our prayer is that we say something or do something that has an impact, a positive impact on at least one person. Now, it might have a negative impact on somebody because, people perceive things differently. But our hope and our goal is to impact people or individuals in a positive way, both male, female, women, children, just to have an impact on somebody. And as I think about this program, it brings nothing but joy to my heart because I feel that I am living on purpose. I don't know in other than just praying and interceding on someone else's behalf. I don't know how to interact anymore. This is my way of trying to reach somebody, of trying to be a voice for those who are voiceless, of trying to have an impact on my community and on those who are around me. So let me not say anymore because I'm getting emotional already. Janelle, it is
Hello,
exciting to have you.
everyone. Hello. I can't believe Alicia and Miss Bridget K. Belizaire. I can say it.
Belazier.
I had a lot of practice, honey. Me and Bridget go all the way back there.
Bye.
But I'm really excited. I'm really excited to be on the show today. I'm excited to be a part of this platform. We get together, like you said, once a month, and we're on here to inspire someone and, use our voice to encourage and motivate people, men, women, boys, girls, by telling our story, showing them what our guests have been through and how we was able to charter ourselves through to victory. And even though we know how to do this thing, we still going through something, but together as the Journey Sisters, we will get through this journey, honey. We may be walking this road for the rest of our lives, but guess what? We are better off because of what we're saying to you. So yes, my name is Janelle, and I am your life fulfillment coach. And my main mission is to help you find your purpose. I believe when you find out who you are and you find out exactly what it is that you're supposed to do upon this earth, you can avoid so many different pitfalls because you know who you are. You know whose you are. You know the direction and the course that your life is headed into. But when you don't know who you are, it's you're confused. You get involved with so many other things and it can throw you down the wrong path. God knows. I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt.com. But my job is to really help you find you. And once you find you, you can become a better version of who you are. And so, Alicia, thank you for letting me be a part of this show. I am the firecracker, and I promise you, I will try to be as calm as possible. But this
Uh-huh.
topic that Alicia have today, I'm
Uh-huh.
already bouncing. But anyway, listen, you guys are in for a treat because Miss Bridget K. Belizaire, this girl do not play. I call her Miss Passionology 101. She is the truth.com. So thank you, Miss Alicia and Bridget. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank
Over
you
to
for
you,
having me.
Bridget. Over to you.
Thank you for having me, ladies. It's my first time being on with you guys, but I've known Lady Soul for a long time. We've been doing this for a while. We're like soul sisters, and I had the pleasure of meeting Miss Alicia over the phone, not to lately, right? And we got to chitty chat. And I thank God for the opportunity and sharing this platform with the two amazing ladies. And let's get excited and see what God has in store for us in this show. I love the topic. What is it? We got to unleash some things because we have to unlearn some things. And I feel like God is going to blow on this show today, and those who are captive will be set free. And that's the ultimate goal. Pass it back on to you, ladies.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon with us. You know, I believe that I started learning in the womb. I don't know about you.
I can't remember. I'm sorry.
I can't remember either, but I believe that's when I started learning. And after having a child myself, I believe that's that where they start learning as well. Because there were times when I would eat things and the child would react in a positive way, or I'd get a kick or a punch or something like, I don't like this. So at that point, from the time of conception, that child is alive. That child has feelings. That child has already his own or her personality and is already learning. And so until we leave this earth, we will forever be learning. Do you agree?
I
We'll forever
definitely
be learning.
agree. I definitely agree. And I didn't get to introduce myself, but I am a therapist. And so I do psychological analysis on a professional basis.
Mhm.
And what you're saying is absolutely true. Scientists have discovered that as soon as conception, the baby is already drawing on what the mother is experiencing.
Mhm.
And they call, I think, postpartum trauma if the child had, if the mother had experienced some type of traumatic experience while the baby is in the womb. And so we already know once that umbilical cord is connected to the parent and it's not cut, those life experiences, they do intermingle. And so you're absolutely right. But let's go beyond the womb. Let's go what biblical principles talk about. So you have your forefathers. So we inherit generational blessings as well as generational curses down the line. So, for example, if you were traumatized or abused as an adult and your child wasn't, if you don't go and heal that, your child will live that. I was just listening the other day, ironically, to TBN after we had our topic, Miss Alicia, and a lady was talking about how she was getting her freedom from, I think she said it was rage, and she actually wanted to kill her brother as a child. And she said, though she had an amazing upbringing, she enjoyed being a parent, right? She literally said that she had to go into intercessory prayer and to figure out where this anger and this hatred was coming from. Come to find out, her grandmother was adopted. Her mother had her at a young age. Her mother had her at a young age, and her mother was going to have an abortion. And she said when she was getting her deliverance, she had to pray those things off of her because she didn't know that those intentions, though not acted upon, was affecting her as a grown adult. So what you were saying is absolutely true. I can only speak about my experience, the loss of my father. I think I was about 12 years old when he passed away, and he was an amazing man of God. I thank God for the small time that I had with him because he had the ability to impact and shape my life. But when my father died suddenly, all of a sudden, this outgoing extrovert personality turned into an introvert. I became very weary of people, very suspicious, very loyal to who I felt was right. And if I didn't feel like he was right, I already began to condition my personality based off of that. And so traumatic experience happened to everybody on a different level, but I'm going to speak from my traumatic experience off of grief. So a lot of people don't talk about grief. And in the Black community, I have to say, we just get over it. But if you watch other cultures, if somebody passes, especially with a child involved, they take you through therapy, they take you through all the, how should I say, healthy ways of coping. You're not left to your own means. And the funny thing about it is you could have three people living up in the same house, going through the same experiences, but are affected differently.
Right.
And so it was three of us in the same household. It was my big brother, Shadrach, my second oldest brother, Meshach, and then me. And I can speak on this because I know my brother is open about it. My brother went into full depression because of it. Meshach. My oldest brother isolated the more, but he went into learning and he became a genius out of it. I, on the other hand, I went into psychology because of it, because I wanted to know why humans are so taboo when it comes to certain emotions, and why, when I was trying to tell people I feel hurt, but I can't show you the wound that is hurting, but I knew within my heart I was hurting. And so as a little girl, I'm going to people and say, hey, I'm hurting. And it was such an epic fail for our community, and I must say it. All I kept getting was, you're pretty, you're supposed to sit up and smile. I was like, what? They said, don't you live in that big house? Girl, you don't got nothing hurting you. Everything is good. And
Mhm.
therefore, society taught us to tuck away our emotions. And if you look a certain way, you shouldn't feel. And that
Mhm.
forever changed my personality. And to this day, I could be going through, but I'll be the strongest one. I'm going to help everybody else through. And you'll never know I'm the one dying too.
And everything, I agree with everything that you're saying as well, that you being so strong because of what you've learned. And
Yes,
every learning experience that we have plays a significant role in our life.
yes.
And ironically, every learning experience might come to be of use at some point in time or the other,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it might seem disrespectful where the topic is, where it says unlearn it and unleash it. Because
Mm-hmm.
after you spend so many years learning something,
Yes.
you want to unlearn it.
That's a
You
good
know,
question.
learn whatever we learn has some sort of value. There are negative experiences that we go through, and there are times when, while you're going through it, it's the worst thing ever. Oh,
It's the word.
I can't do this. I want to, some of us want to die. We want to be taken out of it. But coming out of it later, and you look back at it, you have learned something in that experience which can now either better you, better prepare you. So it's kind of unfair for us to have this topic unlearn it. But at the same time, there are experiences that we have that have shaped us that we want to unlearn.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me
And
touch on that for a minute
uh,
because, again, you could be functioning healthy. And as a therapist, you see this a lot. We have the high functioning clients who've experienced something, but yet they're functional. And then you have the ones that are low functioning. That experience just took them off of who they were meant to be and took them off the course of who God originally designed them to be. So the unlearning part is very important. It's super crucial because that is actually a coping mechanism that I throw into my therapeutic practice because even God does that. When he told Abraham, come out from among them, I've called you and set you apart. And so,
Mhm.
yes, God allows you to have that experience so that you can be relatable, so that you don't come out thinking, oh, I'm perfect, ain't nothing wrong with me. Let me go help these little people. It don't work like that, boo boo. God says, I call you from among them. Even Jesus came himself and was touched with our infirmities, and he realized what we went through. It wasn't until I hit 30 that my whole world came crashing down. And I
Mm.
had to actually dealt with the suppressed grief that I never got to express. And so when everybody was going to school and they would mention it, because I didn't have the coping mechanism, I just brushed it off like nothing happened. And years of doing that build up. And so at 30, here am I in a service, my church service, and my pastor began to preach about forgiveness. And I
oh,
know it's one of your powerful topics. So when I
Yeah.
was talking with you the other day, I was like, oh, girl, this is going to be good.
Yes.
And I didn't realize I didn't forgive not just the people, but myself for not allowing myself to grieve when I should have.
Mm.
And so sometimes we think forgiveness is for everybody else, but it includes you as well.
That's
And so
right.
I have actually a therapeutic program that I created out of that entire event online for free because I know most people won't pay a therapist because they don't want to get that stigma, and then most people can't afford it. And so in my ebook, it's a free ebook online, I walk people through forgiving, not just others or not just the environment, but also forgiving you. And it starts with like, I thank myself for being strong when I had to, because
Mhm.
that's all I know. but I no longer will use those tools to take me to this next level, because this next level of my life requires a new me. And I can honestly tell you, if you look at my 20s and then you look at me now into my 30s, that one season of unlearning, releasing, unleashing what was toted on me for years, God began to show me my purpose onto another level. Because when you are liberated, you begin to liberate others. Like that lady said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. You know what I mean? We're really afraid of that greatness in us, because when you forgive, you take on the responsibility of, I am responsible of who I am now. That might have occurred, but what am I going to do next? Who am I going to decide to be? And so long have we had a society of, we just share your story, but share your story and then take us through it, honey. Because in honesty, nobody cares about your story. Let's be real. And some people are glad that it was you and not them.
Okay.
But now we need to be in a situation where we are vulnerable enough to let you know, hey, I was wounded too, but look what I did anyway. Because God's grace and his amazing power to turn us into a mosaic. A mosaic is simply something that was broken, but then has been reconditioned so that the true beauty of it could still be present. And in China, I just found this in research, when an item is broken, they use gold to repair it. Ain't that amazing? Wow. Whereas in society today, if something is broken, we throw it away and buy another. But I felt like when I saw that, God was saying, you are so valuable. If I bottle your tears, imagine me fixing you with gold. And God says that after you have been tried, you will come out as what? Pure gold. Look at the Holy Ghost. And so sometimes our wounds, we want to hide it, but that's the very thing God says, no, I'm going to use what the enemy thought was going to destroy you to save a generation, expose what the weapons of darkness was trying to do, but again, to illuminate the power of God, that in spite of what you did, I'm going to still use her. I'm going to still use him. I'm going to still make them into who I call them to be. Because that's the power of God's spoken word. Whatever he's destined you to be, no devil in hell, no traumatic experience, no evil hands, no evil intent can stop his complete work from manifesting in your life if you let him. And that's the part we got to go to. Let's talk about if you let him. Go ahead, Michelle.
Right here, Bridget, you mentioned something that was, very important. Like you hit the nail on the head when you talked about therapy. Now, all of us are from the island, and we already know what that stigma is. You know, they call it crazy hill. They call it crazy sandalins, level 7, all these different things they call it. And people don't understand. And see, this is what I've often said to people that I coach. A lot of times the church is not equipped to help you deal with certain issues.
You're talking right.
Therapist, okay?
You're talking right.
Go to your pastor. I know you want to go to your pastor to pray about everything. But there are some things you really need to talk to a professional about. And I have had to take therapy, and it has really opened up my eyes and helped me. I mean, even Alicia helped me to realize that I really need therapy. I kept saying a certain thing, and she was like, I don't like the way you sound saying this. You need some help. And it caused me to realize that, you know what? I need to be big enough to know and say that I need help. And
I love that.
Issues that we're having, not just in the body of Christ, with the human race, especially with people of color, we have a problem getting the help that we need. So when we go through things like grief, they tell you, they pat you on the back and say, child, yesterday or last year when I went through it, I don't want to know what you went through.
You went through
I'm exactly right now. Right. And so they always take, whenever you go to them about something and you're talking about something traumatic you've experienced, they always will top it off and say, well, child, because 2 years ago,
the Me Too movement. They want to tell you Me Too.
So you're trying to get help. You're trying to find answers. And so this is one of the things that I would say to people. Listen, the graveyard is one of the richest places that there ever was. It's very rich because there are so many people with brilliant ideas and visions that take it straight to the grave. Let me tell you, when God created you, he predestined you to become a certain thing, but he's given you free will and you've got choice. So if you never find out your purpose and who you are, you will continue to wonder. And even though God shows you the signs, he shows you, what he wants you to do. Sometimes he got to knock you off your horse and blind you to try to figure out this, you're going in the wrong way. If I'm trying to get to New York, why would I be going south towards Key West? No matter how much I pray, no matter how much I speak in tongues, I will never get to New York.
That's good.
It got nothing to do with God. It got to do with you going in the wrong direction. So this platform today, we're being very transparent, and we want you to know that, hey, yeah, we've been through traumatic experiences as well. We've had to get help. And the help that I've got really helped me to navigate and cope through life. And now I understand. And once I was able to pinpoint the very thing that was causing the
cycles.
Once I was able to identify the source of the pain, I was able to deal directly with that. And you know what the Bible tells you? When you identify the thief, he got to pay you, baby.
Hey, sevenfold, honey.
And you identify the thief. And so when I identified the thief that was killing and eating my joy and taking away my happiness, I was like,
come on.
Hold up, bye.
Come on.
You see, Jenna,
Alicia.
I can't, I'm listening to you ladies, and when you don't know, you just don't know. And when I say that, I'm going to share an experience. As a child, despite the other trauma that I've been through, that I spoke about so many times, my grandmother was sick. She was ill. She had diabetes. And it got to a point where she was bedridden and had one leg amputated. And I was by her side quite a few times. And there were times when I looked at her and we would pray together, and she would talk about dying. And me going through whatever I'm going through, I'm going to be the encourager, and I'm encouraging her to live. You can't leave me, Grandma. We used to call her Mother. You can't leave me, Mother. But behind closed doors, I would pray for her to die. I would pray for her to die because I did not like the pain that she was in, what she was dealing with. And it hurt me to have that prayer. And when she actually died, I was traumatized for such a long time because I felt like I killed her. Because that's what I prayed for. Not realizing, I was praying for her because I didn't like the pain that she was in. I didn't like seeing that. And I felt helpless. But I was praying also for her to die. And like Bridget said, when you tell people that you're in pain, they don't understand. And I would say, I would give little hints that I'm hurting, that I'm in pain. And nobody understood. A lot of times I heard, you soon grow up. You'll be okay.
I heard that too.
When you get older, everything gonna be. It doesn't get any better if you don't deal with it. And so for years, I was traumatized by the thought of anybody dying. I didn't want anybody to die, because if they died and I was affiliated to them, I felt like I was responsible.
Wow.
Because I killed them, And as a child, you don't know any better. You think that we should know better, but we don't. And
you said something so powerful, because we spoke about that the other night too. How that experience, and if you think about it, because of what you've been through, this is what you call individuals like you. When you've experienced a trauma, you are compassionate to other people's pain. And so you really felt your grandmother's pain compared to other folks. Because until you go through something, boo-boo, that really hurts you, when somebody else hurt, you could turn a deaf ear. And so you were, what you call was like a mercy prayer. And a lot of children feel that too. I went through a short season feeling that I was responsible for my father's death, but I wasn't wishing him to die. But I told you last night, the other day, it was the reverse for me. I've experienced the death of a loved one, and now I'm taking care of my Grammy, right? I I would choose taking care of my Grammy some more than experiencing that loss. And so it conditions me to value friendships and to hold on to people longer than I should. Whereas probably your experience, because you've experienced that pain, you don't want her to suffer no more. And so your response, which was like what you call it, the protective mechanism within a person, was, hey, maybe God take her on to glory. And I've met a lot of people too. During the grief phase, you'll have two different types of opinions. One, no more peace, no more pain, Grammy, go off to glory. And then somebody else, no, we're going to pay even if her mind stops working, we're going to keep her on that machine. And so it's both forms of showing love. But what I don't like is how the enemy will try to guilt trip us for being human, for allowing ourselves to express our love the best way we know how. And so something you said remind me of what the lady had said too on TV. She said she felt so guilty for having these thoughts. She was like, what? Where they come from? I'm not an evil person. And that's why in my class, in the program, I teach you how to dominate your thoughts. I separate the soul realm from the flesh realm and the spiritual realm. See, what my grief did and what the enemy wasn't prepared for, it allowed God to send me into the demonic camp as a warrior. And I helped mend a lot of broken and wounded souls back to health. And you know what? It's time out for the stigma. If somebody has something going on with them mentally, all of a sudden they're crazy. We got to put them aside, and then we tarnish them for being mentally ill. What I did is I did therapy, and I allowed my clients to keep their integrity and their dignity. It didn't matter to me whether you were on the low totem pole or the high totem pole. You come in front of me, you ain't never gonna stop being human. And I will never take your issues, use it against you, nor say it to nobody else. And you don't become less of a person because you're broken. In my eyes, after working with a lot of traumatically abused, raped, rituals, you name it, the far left experience of her, I respected these individuals even the more. Because here am I'm waking up and a bad headache throw me off, a red light, maybe somebody sucked their teeth or cut their eye at me. While these people are dealing with traumatic experience from childhood, plaguing them on a daily basis, fighting to keep their mind sane, to smile, it made me realize I need to be more grateful. And it made me realize who the heroes really were among us. And see, a lot of people saying, now I'm going to go see a therapist because they're the strong ones, they're the heroes. But in actuality, for you to be alive still, for you to love people, for you to even show some glimpse of being on this side of glory, okay? What an amazing person you are. And wow, look at the amazing God we serve. Because people don't understand how fragile the human psyche is. After you speak with somebody who one traumatic experience sent them off to yonder, and they no longer on earth, even though they sit in front of you, you don't handle people no type of way. You don't gossip about people's mindset or experiences. You just walk on a different type of level because you respect somebody's wound. And I feel like going into the psychological realm and seeing all of that, my clients to me were always heroes. And I felt it an honor to help them, whether they were drunk, drinking, because you never know. I went in and one of my clients, because he's passed away, I can bring it up. I have his plant right here in my office. I'm way in Miami, you guys. This plant's been with me for like 5 years. And when he wanted to give me the plant, I was like, no, you don't have to give me nothing. Because I was all about, oh, I'm going to give everything to them. They've been through enough. But he was animate. Bridget, you've helped me so much here. And when I heard he passed away, I went back to Orlando, grabbed my plant and brought it to my office. I water it daily because just to show you, when you see people experiences, you don't know the little glimpse of hope you give them, what it means to them. And this man has been drunk on all kind of addictions. You think about it, he's been on all of them. But before he died, God saved his soul. And I thought of him today. And it was because of me not knowing how to process my grief, led me into a field of psychology. Look how God will strategically plant
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And now I'm being a light to somebody else who probably would have never find hope in psychology as well.
Let
Go
me
ahead.
let me plant this seed in there right now, Bridget. I mean, that's definitely amazing, and that's what I teach when it comes to purpose and why you have to find out, because God will never waste your pain. There's
Never.
always purpose in your pain, and
Yes.
this is why I am upset when there are people that are supposed to be in the body of Christ. We call them church people that are so judgmental.
Yeah.
You know, you're supposed to go to this place to find healing. You go to this place to, to find deliverance, and that's the same place that's judging the crap out of you. The skirt you got on, the shirt you got on, the tattoos you got, the piercings, the this and the that. And before they really, sit down and really understand what you've actually been through, they cannot relate. And when I first moved to Georgia, I came from that judgmental religious background as well. Where you come to church and you came to church a certain way. I mean, that's our culture.
Yes.
But when I got over here, as here I'm scared, however you feel, whatever happens, whatever day it is, you just get up and you just go.
Show up.
And I was like, whoa. But then God started to take me where I was able to see behind their eyes and peep into their souls. And when I did that, I saw the hurt and I saw the pain. And I never forgot this lady I saw she was standing on the side of the street. She had green hair. She had a green skirt. She had on a crop top shirt, right? And she looked like she was for sale.
Oh, Lord.
And I looked at her. The old me would have been quick to say, my God, I mean, you think she had to look that way? But because God started to do something on the inside of me, when I looked at her, I saw her pain and her hurt. And it was like God allowed her childhood and her life to just flash across my eyes. And I'm like, oh my God. Instead of judging, if you can just see through the eyes of God to see, okay, and I always tell people, when Jesus went to the cross, honey, he didn't just go to the cross for good you that never sinned.
Come on.
Good you that never cheated, that never stole, that never lied, that never sold dope, that never prostituted. He did not just go. He did not just go for you. Goody two shoes.
Right. That's right.
You see that drug dealer on the street? He had him on his mind. You see that prostitute on the corner? He had that prostitute on his mind.
Right.
He had the whole world. It says, for God so loved the world. Now, if you were part of the world, then you are included in who God loved, that he gave. He gave us something. He gave up something so that we can have eternal life, so that we can by the blood have access to the life that Jesus died to give us. So today, even as we continue and have this chit chat, we want you to know, sweetie, that we don't judge you. That's not our place. That's not what we're here to do today. We're not here to say we perfect. We're not here to say we ain't never been through and never done things that we ain't proud of. We're not saying that, but what we're saying is that we serve a God that you can tell, I mean, anything to. The one person I don't lie to, I may lie to all of y'all on here, but I ain't gonna lie to God. Listen, I go to him and I say, God, listen, it don't make sense me just making up something.
Come on.
Because you knit me together in my mother's womb.
Come on.
So you know me before I even knew myself. So I may as well come clean, God. Yeah, I did it. I sure did it. I thought it. I wanted to do it. God, help me.
But you said something, Janelle, though. The church is judgmental. And that is absolutely right. But my problem with the church, though, is not just the judgmental aspect is, yes, come as you are, but please, no, don't stay as you are. No, boo-boo. Come as you are, but don't stay as you are. I did therapy. I'm going on 5 years, but I've been studying this field for 10 years, from internship and all of this. So I've been really doing therapy for almost 15 years. However, what I realize is when my clients come into my office, because of what they see on TV, they see counseling on TV. Now, counseling is, I sit back, I listen to you, you boo-hoo cry, we hear all your story, we give you compassion, you go on your merry way, you get it off your chest. Therapy is not that. And so I've had clients, they come in my office Psychology teaches you how to break down a human soul. So don't come into my office thinking you're going to stay in that broken state. I can assure you from working with every client, the moment they sit in front of me, not judging them at all, because I can't judge nobody because I should have been right there too, but for the grace of God, right?
Amen.
Exactly, because I went through my grief too. But the reason why I say this is don't think therapy or counseling is another somebody to pat you on your back. That is not the goal. The goal is to restore you back to your whole self. And if
Transformation.
you're not careful, and when you pay attention to churches, everybody wants a shoulder to cry on, and they come to the church. And then when they get abused and misused, then the church is a bad place. No, boo-boo. When you are wounded, nobody tells you this, but you are the most vulnerable population. In our documents, that's what we call it. That means you are susceptible to a predator. Now, somebody might not be a predator because they don't know your personal information. But once you give somebody unqualified, unskilled insight to your soul, if they are not Holy Spirit filled, they can manipulate you and they can puppet play you all throughout your life without you knowing it. This is why it's always important. And I love how you said Alicia told you to do therapy. Because in the culture, we're used to speaking to big mama, sister over here, and then the church. And then they ridicule the church for not being equipped. But God created a full society. We live in the 21st century where you won't go to the church when you have a heart problem. You will get prayer and anointed oil, but then you're going to take yourself to the specialist and you won't even get a second opinion. But you put all the responsibility of the most fragile part of you. I know people have functioning hearts, but they nowhere here on earth. They can't tell you a full sentence because they're gone. Because you need this. It's like a car without an engine. The most valuable part of you is unstable. But here you are going to a person who is not equipped. Yes, Holy Ghost filled. They can cast out the devil. But Jesus being so wise, after he told the individuals, who couldn't cast out the devil out the boy, he said, y'all need to go back into discipleship. What therapy is, it's the reconditioning of who you are. You're not supposed to be in therapy for life. So whoever told you that, they lie. Your therapist ain't doing a good job, boo-boo. Because after a certain while, your therapist should be equipping you to get stable in you. To not rely on the therapist to tell you how you feel or how to process that, for you to take full responsibility of your innermost being and process into that beautiful human being God has created you to be. And that's been my problem with the church. They have you come as you are, but in psychology, there's they call it a quadrant, where you have a lot of love, no love, where you have discipline only, and then you have discipline and love. And they would not admit it, but exactly what the Bible says is right. The children are the individuals that have been in the last quadrant, what has discipline and love. They become more productive, healthy, psychological human beings. And just as children, so are adults, because you may be aging on the outside, but psychological wise, wherever you've been traumatized, that's where you are. And when people sit in my office and they try to mask it and they can hide it, they're always shocked that I can pinpoint how old they were when they were traumatized. Because the moment you begin to peel back the layers, the age you are show up. They begin to talk like either a kid or they begin to talk like a teenager. And you're like, whoa, this is this big grown adult in front of me reverting back to where they were once wounded. So they wonder why marriages don't work. They wonder why jobs don't work, different things don't work. It's because you are only as healed, mature, and grown as your last traumatic experience you've repaired. And that's what therapy does. It unveils where you were wounded and we catch you back up, boo-boo, to where you're supposed to be. And no, you're not less of a human. No, you're not Let me tell you, America is the only country where you are diagnosed for life. You go to Australia with that foolishness, they will check you, boo-boo. They don't do that. It's like you got your diagnosis, then you get the medicine, and we monitor your progress and you mature out of that phase. Only here in America, we gonna put you on meds for life. I have my clients in a line. I need you to go to your doctor, find out what this medication for. I don't go. I train my clients to go themselves. But everybody baby them. You got to go. Excuse me? She's been in therapy with me long enough to now speak up for herself, to advocate. She's no longer bound psychologically, but she thinks she has no voice, and whatever you say goes. No, boo boo. You have a voice, you have a right, and God created you to be who? Say your name loud and proud. Don't let no trauma in the past take that away from you, and don't
That's
let
right.
no shame in the future from you exposing that person take it from you. And so, girl, my clients would fight you for me, honey, because they knew God placed somebody who really loved them and who actually wanted them to get out of it. Now, at 30, I had to get myself out of my own prison. Ain't that us?
But
We're
you see, that's where I wanted to
everybody.
go.
Go ahead, Miss
You
Alicia.
see, this is where I wanted to go. Because before getting to therapy, here I am with multiple traumatic situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I get out of that? These are things that I've learned. I'm launched into it. I've learned these and I'm taking it into my adult life. How do I unlearn these things? You know, for me personally, and that's how I know that God is real. Despite whatever I went through, I knew there was a purpose. I knew I had a voice. I didn't know how to use it, but
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had a purpose and I had a voice. And it's not just happening because there is something behind it. There is a reason why this is taking place. But God, why is it taking place? And
Mm-hmm.
so personally, before therapy, before anything else, even after reaching out to the church, because that's where we're taught to go. We're taught to go to the church. We're taught to go to auntie. We're taught to go to whoever.
Yes.
And they talk about you, because
Yes.
they don't know.
Now
They
she
talk
is.
about you. And the minute you mess up, they flat right back in your face. So I found myself where I immersed myself into observation.
Mhm.
That's where me becoming an introvert came from. I started observing and observing to see what can I learn from my environment? How can I get out of this? It was a constant dialogue with me. Not nobody else. People would probably think I was crazy, but I was always speaking to myself. And I try not to do it with my lips moving, but but I
Crazy
was
again.
always talking to me because inside and God created us like I said before, not because he had some extra clay,
There you
not
go.
because he didn't have anything to do this Saturday afternoon. You know what? Let me just make another body. He created us with purpose. And despite everything, I knew internally that one day, don't know how it's going to happen, that I was
Mm,
going to be a voice.
that's
Because
right.
what can I do if I'm feeling this way? Somebody is probably feeling the same way too. There was never a judgmental zone where I'm
Very
judging you
good.
because if you did something, if you committed a murder, if you committed a crime, even the person that abused me,
Mhm.
there must have been something going on with you why you felt
Very
it
good.
necessary to pass it on to somebody else. So
Very
I
good.
never had any anger towards anything or anybody. As a matter of fact, I asked a friend a few weeks ago, teach me to be angry. I don't know how to get angry.
Oh, wow.
I would be disappointed.
I know.
I might have an act, but I don't know how to get angry.
I can give you a one-on-one class after the show, girl.
Miss Alicia, but let me say this. That was part of
Right?
the
So,
conditioning because once an act like that happens, if you pay attention, it doesn't just rob you of your voice, but it robs you of your right to express.
mhm.
And so you're getting that back. And you know what? I want to just tip on that just a little bit, what you said, even the perpetrator. When I tell people I do domestic abuse therapeutic sessions, they always think I deal with the victim. No, I deal with the perpetrators.
Mhm.
I actually deal with the perpetrators and I go into their mind. And you said you observe, Miss Alicia. That is one of the tools to be a psychologist. Maybe you miss your calling, boo
I
boo.
probably did. I've been told that a few
I'm
times
just
too.
joking.
I'm sure she did.
We do because that is a very key tool. And that's what most people don't do. They don't observe. They always speak and then observe later. But that is one of the key qualities of being a therapist. So, girl, you are well on your way, honey, to do that.
Not
But
too
let me
late
say
though.
this. Let me say this. When I deal with the perpetrators, can I be honest with you? Growing up as a kid, I had a lot of very sexually active friends, very sexually active at a young age. We lived like in the hood. They were very ghetto. And so Looking back now, you could be like, oh, this child must have been abused, because there shouldn't be no way this child should be hyperly sexually active. And thinking back, a lot of that plagues my mind now. I feel like, wow, I wish I knew, because I would have seen so-and-so was being abused. And it wasn't until I was a teenager, one of my friends was saying how she got gang raped in the community. So my sister would tell you, Bridget, you've been a therapist from way back then. I lived on Camp Road, the roughest of the rough, the baddest of the bad.
Yes.
And let me tell you, more than likely, if you do the statistics, I would say 1 out of 2 have been abused. And so I remember one of my friends playing a game, and it wasn't a fun game. And I went to my dad, and this is why I love my father. This is what kept me from not being a victim as a kid. Can I say it? One of my friends were playing house. And in-house, they took it to the next level. And we don't talk about this really, but it's true. Everybody knows that. And one of the 2 people played house and took it to the next level. And they were saying, I'm next. And I was like, I dashed off. I ride my little skinny broccoli because I didn't want to play that house. I don't know what that house was. And when I went to my father, this is what I really loved about him. He said, what game? He didn't stole me. He didn't repel me. He wasn't rude. He wasn't like, oh, you're too young to know about that. None of those stupid things. And I thank God. What he told me is, he cracked the Bible open and he said, your body is the temple of the Lord. And he showed me that in the Bible. Then he told me how valuable I was as a young woman, and said, nobody should touch your body in any type of inappropriate way unless you're married. Now, mind you, we never had the birds and the bees conversation. I didn't wait till my parents took it to me. I went to them because I was a very nosy and observant child, and I talked a lot. But it wasn't until my father passed away I became an introvert. And thinking back, I could remember some of the games my friends would play. And because children are so innocent, it didn't matter if it was a boy, if it was a girl, you be the daddy, I be this. Now let's bring it back to the 21st century. Now in school, won't go too deep, they are already pre-explaining things to fragile minds that don't know. Here are you arousing sexual consciousness in a child before time. And even in Solomon says, do not open that door before time. So you can expect, right? Because in psychology, we deal with statistics. You can expect with certain exposure of certain conversation, the perverted rate is going to go up. What they don't talk about is they only talk about adults perverting children, but they don't talk about when little Ted perverts little Sarah. They want to judge you. You're a teen pregnant, or you're this. No. Who sent that little girl, or who sent that little boy to your little girl who wasn't ready, or to your little boy whose mind was still innocent? Because they done grown him up too early, and here he's bringing it into the community. That's the enemy we really got to be careful for. It's the children whose parents aren't doing their job and leaving your child a victim. I just watched on the news the other day after our conversation, Miss Alicia. God just started popping so much in front of me, honey. I was like, God. This little girl ate a candy from her friend in the bathroom because she knew if she went in class, the teacher don't let them eat candy. But the little girl came from home with a spiked candy. It was spiked with weed. Oh my Lord. So here's the girl getting suspended for being high. They test her, and the parents are defenseless. This topic is so powerful on so many levels.
Yeah,
God knows why this is needed, because if we don't have forums like these to actually be on the forefront of what the enemy is planting so subtly to captivate the minds of the young people, to captivate the minds of the adults. And if we were to go further, if anybody were to say, I've never been abused, I've never been traumatized, COVID-19 has traumatized us in levels we will never know.
Right.
And statistics won't show what really happened until 5 to 10 years from now. But if we pay attention now, we already have crime rates going up. A child could go to school, a child, not an adult, can go to school and shoot up other children. And then if you pay attention now, marriages are falling apart because people are now having to face what? Undealt issues, traumatic issues that have been suppressed. And for the Black community, we're going to hit the worst because we don't have the coping skills. Nobody's prepared us. Big Mama didn't do it. She cooked it away. She made us sleep it away. She gave us the pill, took us to the back alley, made us do a back alley abortion, touch us up. You know, it's too much for that. I feel like it's no more playing games with human souls. We are fragile beings, and the enemy is banking on your brokenness to manipulate, abuse, rape, imprison you. And then you're going to be like R. Kelly talking about trapped in a closet filled with lies and uncoped and cleared out emotions. What people don't teach you, and this is the unlearned part that I really wanted to touch on so that you can unleash the greater one in you, the one God has designed you to be. That's what you are trying to unleash. There is something within the human mind called neuroplasticity. This is not emotionalism. This is not therapy. This is scientific facts. Look it up. Save yourself and save the world. It starts with each of us, right? Neuroplasticity is the mind's ability to unlearn and relearn.
Mm-hmm.
That means no matter how traumatized an individual may be, there is elasticity God made. Scientists are still trying to figure out how, but God made it so that we can recondition ourselves back to who He originally created us to be. So
and that I truly believe.
Yeah, and no matter how far the enemy tries to denigrate your soul, because I'm
right back.
who've always been, they've even been ritually abused. Could you imagine? They've been ritually abused. Not just somebody touched me the wrong way or something happened at home. This person, they have done it on a calculated basis to create what you call sleeper cells in the person. And you create a person who is disassociated from society and reality. Anytime they could take a trigger word and they could program you to do anything. This is why God says, guard the mind. The battlefield is in the mind. Put on the whole helmet of salvation. But then He also gave us the scripture to be renewed by what? The reading of His word. Therefore, you will be transformed and not conformed to this world. And if people don't pay attention to what is called the mind and deal with it on both levels, the mind, which is the heart on a subconscious level, and then the mind, which is your neurological compartment, they call it that. They have the conscious and the unconscious realm.
Right.
In my trainings, I go throughout that. And what I do is I teach anybody who's been conditioned negatively to uncondition yourself and begin to take on the mind of Christ and be who God has called you to be. It is free. You can find it on my Facebook page. And that's what I did to get out of my trauma. I had to unlearn that it's not okay my dad died. I missed him. It's okay to cry and grieve that and feel that. And I cried literally for 2 weeks straight, releasing this grief. And now try me. And see, this is what people don't understand. Because once you've addressed your trauma,
yes,
and you, nobody can abuse you no more. No more secrets in the closet. No more boogeyman. I'm telling you, we're human beings. All kind of negative things are going to come through our minds. They are called fiery dots. But God has given us the power to cast it down. And in my book, I show you exactly how to do it. God allowed me to go into psychology, learn their fields with the biblical knowledge I have, and bring them together. And let me tell you, if we can conquer giants, you can conquer giants with the scripture. And with my program, no devil could ever manipulate you, imprison you, nor hold you hostage to what they think they know about you. And what I realize about life is people who live in glass houses like to throw stones. Come on now. People, they like to bully on the weak. But I am an advocate for the weak. And you ain't gonna manipulate, play no type of mind games with no weak-minded person here, because the Bible empowers us to strengthen such a one. And after I've strengthened you, I have to strengthen my brethren. And after I've strengthened myself, because God says that, strengthen yourself.
That's right.
On a daily basis. Let me tell you, trauma could change anybody. I had a lady who had a car accident sit in my office, didn't know her name. So don't ever think that this consciousness God has given you makes you sit above anybody else.
Yeah.
Because at a moment's notice, baby, it could be you. At a moment's notice, baby, you could be the next one going out of your mind. But by the grace of God, you are here sound. And so instead of us abusing and exploiting the weak, let us empower them, especially in the Black community. Because all of these problems they're talking about, childhood pregnancy, teen this, drug addictions, AIDS, all of it goes back to a community that's not renewing their mind. What they do instead is they hide the problems under the bush and they don't address it. Hush now, baby, don't talk about it. But I'm glad, Alicia, God gave you this platform to let people talk about it. Talk about it to expose the devil and then get healed. Don't just talk about it so that you can have a badge of honor, but talk about it to be transformed into who God has called you to be. And I'm going to leave it at that because I have a
Listen, Alicia, I'm happy that Bridget took it to where it needs to be today.
Right.
Because I'm trying to just be very calm because this topic that you have here today, unlearn it to unleash it, and I'm really passionate about it. I'm so passionate about it because it all ties in with purpose. You know, God allowed you to go through what you went through, Bridget. God allowed you to go through what you went through, Alicia, but in that pain that you was able to birth your purpose, and the pain wasn't just for you, it was so that you can help to strengthen the remains. And we live in a society where, Alicia said it many times, where it's not cool for a Black man to show emotions, which is why we have a lot of homes that are suffering, a lot of marriages that are going through because men cannot, they don't know how to relate emotionally because of the trauma that they went through. You is mine, boy.
Yeah, you know, it's not manly to be emotional.
Toughen up, boy. Toughen up. You is mine. What you crying for? You is mine. And they go through life like that. And when you come into a relationship with someone else that you say you love, you know, you may be good for about 1, 2, 3 years, but once that pain resurfaces again, that trauma resurfaces again, like Bridget said, anything could trigger it. Anything. And once that is triggered, you get to see a side of somebody that you've never ever seen before.
But you said something powerful though, Alicia. I mean, Janelle and Alicia, because you both said it. In my session, I'm dealing with the abusers, and that's why they're not allowed to express their emotions. So they suppress it and then it explodes. And I teach them how not to be triggered, because people will trigger you, but we know there's a devil out there looking to trigger you.
And they don't even know that they're triggering you. You know, I'm excited. I thought when I thought about this topic, and like one of our guests said, we need a part 2. When I thought about this topic, I'm just as passionate about it because I can't tell you the stories. And God has equipped us and equipped me in such a way that in addition to being observant, I had to plunge myself into meditation. Because I knew that it was inside of me to talk to somebody. I had to condition myself. You know what? I'm going to change my way of thinking and be intentional about it. Because if I feel this way, somebody else is feeling that way. If I'm behaving this way and people are judging me, it has to be some reason or something that's going on why they're seeing me through a certain eye. Do I want to pass this on to the next generation?
Oh, that's powerful. That's it right there.
Do I want to pass it on? How am I going to be an advocate for change? And it's difficult for me to be an advocate for change when I don't have a voice. So I'm going to be an advocate for change starting at home.
Very good.
And the problem is a lot of us, like you said, just want to sweep it under the carpet. It's okay. It's a slap on the wrist. We're going to get over it. You know, life goes on. But like you said, marriages fall apart. Yeah. Children leave home. Children get involved in different, and you say, well, I did the best I could. No, you did not. You did the best that you could in
what
the
they
eyes
taught
of everybody.
What they taught
you. Exactly.
But you did not address it.
Yeah.
And we have too many resources. We have seen too much, even if we're not educated where we got the degrees. We've seen too much on the news. We've seen too much in our family to not sit back and say, you know what? What's going on here? What can I do? What am I missing? How can I make a difference? Why is so-and-so, even if it's my girlfriend, children, something might be going on in her home. What am I doing to make a difference? Even if I'm not speaking to her directly, am I trying to plant a seed in these children's life? And if we don't take the role of trying to be that change, it will forever continue. And it is happening.
I see a part two, Alicia. I smell a part two. I smell a part two. Listen, guys, I don't know who all is watching this show, but we need to get this. We need to share this platform. We need to get people. We're only on once a month. We need people to share this program, share this podcast, even after this is over, because you never know who needs to hear this. You never know. Somebody that's on Alicia's page may never have heard about Bridget, but they just happen to just scroll across, watch this video, and something was triggered on the inside of them, and they'd be like, okay, I need to call Bridget. I need to call Janelle. I need to get in contact with Miss Alicia because something going on and I need help. And that is what this show is about. And yes, we are only on for 1 hour. So of course, we're always out of time. But we just love you guys so much. Thank you for being such a wonderful part. Bridget, that is there. You will definitely be back. You have given us a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I know Alicia feels the same way I feel. We're overjoyed. We got to come back. It got to be part two, Miss Alicia. And
yes,
I hope that I behave good enough for you to have me to come back. Because
you did very well today, Janelle. You did very well. Miss Belazier put you to the. You did very well. This was about Miss Belazier today. Now you managed to keep her quiet today. Believe you me.
Let me tell you, we've done this before. We go back.
Oh yeah, we do
every
this.
Week she every month she begs to come back.
You know what?
But,
you see me jumping.
Every month she begs to come back, Miss Belazier.
Oh, it'll be a pleasure to come back. You're saying it correctly. You did a good job.
It's a beautiful platform. It's touching lives, and I am delighted to be here. I'm delighted that I have found my voice. I'm delighted that I found my confidence.
Yes.
I'm delighted that God has equipped me to see the change, to know that there is a change, despite whatever. Like you say, you could go left, you could go right with whatever you're dealing with.
Yes.
Once He purposed you,
come on,
He has purposed you. Nothing can derail you from that.
Nothing.
Right. And the obstacles that come in the path to derail you only makes you stronger. The devil don't know what he's doing.
Come on,
you don't know when he's messing with the wrong one. And like I've had conversation with God on more than one occasion. Janelle, I put a chair down. I said, God, you sit down. We need to talk.
Come on.
And I battled it out with him. And he says to me, I have a purpose for you. I don't care what you say or what you decide. I don't care what conversation you have with me, how you want to argue with me. You're going to do what I ask you to do. I don't care how rebellious you try to be. You're still going to do it. I don't want to talk. I have to run up and down the stairs. I have to take a couple of drinks before I get up. You're going to still do it.
God got you. Not supposed to do it,
but you still do it.
He got you. It's all right.
Thank you guys so much for being here this afternoon. And just before, Miss Bridget, we enjoyed you.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed you, ladies.
Just before we leave, I just want you guys, yes, therapy, but give some parting words prior to therapy. How did I get over mine? What direction am I going? What am I leaving with you? Go right ahead, guess.
Some parting words. Prior to therapy, let me tell you, God has so much personalities, but I so love this one about him. He is the wise counselor. So let me tell you, you don't need a therapist. The Holy Spirit can do it. What a therapist would do is take you through the process you initiate. We can't take you no further than you are willing to go yourself. And so I always tell people, God can walk you through the deepest storms, and he can touch the brokenest part of you and love you back to health like nothing happened, because that's what he did to me. And when he did that to me, I came all the way to Miami. I started a business. I'm doing a nonprofit. I'm doing so much. I was like, wow. It's amazing how one traumatic experience could stifle your life if you let it. Because the old me wouldn't have been like, oh, child, I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. I don't want to do this. You have too much in you to allow what's happened to you to stop you. We need you. The world needs what you have. If you want to reach me, you can always visit One Passionology on all of my social media platforms. Look up Bridget K. Bell is there. I'm sure Miss Alicia will have my links attached, and you guys can reach me there. But it was a pleasure for me to speak with you guys
Thank
today.
you. Dana.
Listen, like I said before, finding out your purpose, the earlier that you can find out why you're here. I would suggest to you just to get in a quiet place and just really ask God, God, why am I here? What do you have for me to do? And allow him to order your steps and to show you. Because it a lot of times when we're going through, it doesn't make sense. But when he starts to take you down that road and you begin to understand, oh, that's why I went through. That's why I had to do it. I always wondered why. I felt like I was forced to learn music. I'm like, everybody getting bikes, we getting pianos. I'm like, why did I have to be born? Why did I have to be born to parents? I was always in church and I was always having to do something with music. But look at me now. Look at the seed that was planted. Look at the albums. Look at the way I minister through music to people.
Yes.
It's because what God allowed me to go through. So listen, just ask God. Just say, Lord, I'm confused. You ain't got to lie to him because he already know you confused.
He already knows.
I need you to show me the way. I need you to order my steps. And I need you to tell me, because what it's going to do when you pay attention to what the Spirit is saying, you won't make the wrong decision. You won't marry the wrong person. You won't go to the wrong school. You won't get the wrong job. You will be conscious. You will think about, okay, God, if this is what you call me to do, that ain't in my path. I can't take her with me, and he definitely can't go with me. So you can reach me on social media. I am Miss She Inspired Speaks on Instagram, and I am the She Inspired Network on Facebook. I mean, if you need to reach out to me, I'll be more than happy to walk you through finding your purpose. Thank you, Elise. Thank you.
You are welcome. And unlearn it and unleash it.
Unleash it.
You have to learn to unlearn. And it starts with you being determined. Be determined to free yourself. You have the power in your hand. And I say forgive often. I would pass the mirror, in the bathroom or wherever, and I'm like, I forgive you. Girl, I forgive you. And I'll go back again, I forgive you. I love you. Nobody else is going to love you like I love you. Just have that conversation. And I talk about speaking to my pain. I speak to my trauma. I speak to my pain. I speak to me. Nobody got to talk to me. I can spend a whole 3-6 months by myself just talking to me, because that is how I get in tune with who I am so that I can help somebody else. Because a lot of times we get caught up in helping everybody and don't realize that we are falling apart. And look at your problems as opportunities. We're going through it and it's the worst thing ever. But what can I learn from this? How can I use it to help somebody else? Even in addition to helping me. How can I? Because sometimes when we help others, we don't realize that we're healing ourselves as well.
Come on. Very good.
How can I use this opportunity to help somebody else? And most importantly, I know forgiveness freed me. That's why I'm your forgiveness coach. Forgiveness freed me. But seek out resources. And the best resource, the largest platform there is, and the most powerful and available resource there is God. And
Amen.
I agree.
Despite any therapy, despite any mother, father, cousin, auntie, uncle, your resource is God. And everything is in his word. Everything is in his word. And there are those of us, all of us are, but some of us have tapped into it, to take you on that.
I think our computer is freezing up. It's
freezing. Oh, this was powerful. This was powerful.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being a part of the show today. Meet us next month for Chit Chat with the Journey Sisters. We love you guys. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you, Lady Soul and Miss Alicia, for this opportunity again. To God be all the glory.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.